And they're talking with Tom as things go along, and as he said, they do have a conversation with me, or in the past with somebody else's board president, they would have a conversation with them. So we have an opportunity to talk about things as things are coming up. So it's usually not a surprise, at least in our case it hasn't been a surprise when they come and talk, but they do give us some of the little things that we need to be aware of. If there's something a little different than usual, those are really the things that we're looking for, talking to them about, things that don't happen every year. You know, and usually they're small things, but again, it's part of the report, so you want to know about it.
You had asked about online payments. So do you right now have online payments?
No, we were looking to maybe pay, for everything online. In other districts, I know they have, fees, even lunch money, field trip money, everything run through a bookstore, online payment option. We were just wondering where you were at with that system. Do they pay fees?
If you've been in this
registration
community anytime, a lot of people like to pay cash, and they know they want to see the money, and they so that's been probably the biggest hurdle that we've had, and that is throughout the summer they would come in and they say, I need to go see somebody in the business office, and then we would have to stop and collect the cash and for whatever it was, and if it was 2 transactions or 3 transactions. So we've gone to a company called RevTrack.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the other one is School Wallet or Magic Wallet or something like that. But we use RevTrack.
RevTrack.
They're very good. They're very responsible when we need something done. The hard thing is setting up all the account codes and making sure that the money's going to where it needs to go initially. And then as you're going through, you have to figure out, well, I need this just for a cafeteria, or I need this just for this particular fee. But I think as the next generation of parents come through, they're used to doing online transactions, so it's getting easier and easier. We've had less and less who have wanted to come in. There are some people who still, they only want to pay with cash, or they only want to pay with a check. The fees on that, there's a fee related to that, but we've kind of built that into our fee structure to begin with, so that what we think that we're going to collect in student fees is we hit that target, so we can provide programs that we need to provide. With the lunch service, with Skyward, the student side and the lunch side are like 2 separate companies, but they're all under Skyward, which the twain shall ever meet type of thing. So we've had to set that up. That was kind of a problem for us 3 or 4 years ago, because parents would go in and we would credit it to one account, and then we'd have to go and transfer the money, and then do a manual on a Skyward so that the parents would see that it actually got credited. But that's been worked out. But that was kind of part of the growing pain with that. More and more, as we're doing even just regular fundraisers, more and more parents, and especially because we're high school, so a lot of students will have debit cards that have been set up by their parents. They prefer to pay electronically rather than paying with cash. So it's definitely something that makes things more convenient for parents to do those payments. It makes things a lot faster for them. Refunds are a lot easier too. We used to have to wait. They'd have to wait a week to get a refund. If it's a transaction that's been done in the last month, they can get the money back immediately. If it's from 3 or 4 weeks ago, it takes 3 to 5 days for it to be processed, but it goes right back to their credit card. So that's especially been helpful with like separated or divorced parents, where they're sharing on some of the fees, so that if one part of the group needs to get the money back, or grandma's paying, grandma gets the money back rather than whoever else. So that's been pretty helpful in our experience.
Yes. What would, other than registration, what would we use that for?
So anything you buy at school, right? So anytime you pay a sports fee, an activity fee, a field trip,
Okay.
All sorts of things we could use it for. So, yeah, I mean, it would be very helpful because it cuts down on staff time. And I think that's incredibly important for us to look for economies in that area, so.
The only issue is getting it set up, right? So you're starting without using it. Now you've got to get it set up. So you're going to spend a little time to get everything working right. But once you get it working right, it's going to work a lot better. And more convenient for the parents and things. I mean, unless they want to use cash.
The other thing that we do is we accept payment plans for our curriculum fees, and it would be very helpful if we didn't have to send out letters and make phone calls, that it was just an automatic payment through a system where we could set it up, you know, to accept 6 payments over time. Yeah. Who is your treasurer?
Yeah, so I'm the treasurer. So, you know, I inherited a lot of the things that have been established for the last 30 or 40 years. So I'm John Berquist. I think at one
The
point,
township treasurer?
at one point before John Berquist, who was here in the 90s, I think there was a township treasurer, and I didn't get a chance to ask Cheryl Flynn, who was here before me, but something happened and they went away from the township treasurer. I don't know, maybe some other people.
It's a bad thing. Yes, it's from fraud. And so they dissolved
Which
the
is
office.
bad. So, but how is it that he's been the treasurer forever and we've only had Hillary Sienna for 3 years or whatever? What did we do before that?
I believe that the person that was here before Hillary, which predates me, is somebody that was servicing a number of the elementary districts when it dissolved, was actually
Okay.
doing several of them.
That was a person different
Correct.
than whom you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
But when I came, I questioned whether or not we were getting all the services that we needed, because Hillary actually does review all the bank recs that Kimmy will be doing, and also she was the worked directly with the auditors.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that's very helpful because she has a really outstanding accounting background with all the new changes in GASB that happen from time to time and how we have to change our accounting structures. And so then we work together in order to create the accounts. Like she just basically sent me a note saying that we need some of these different accounts and so forth for the change in student activity accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's being put into the system.
So, but you provide the treasurer function at the high school.
Right.
All right.
That's pretty typical, by the way, because I was the treasurer, you know, when I
When
was
you
in
were
high school.
CFO,
At
yeah.
Glenbrook, you know, at
At the
Glenbrook,
Glenbrook.
or that's so
Glenbrook,
forth. So
yeah.
it's
Okay.
And like I said, I'm just inherited what was established before me. So John Berquist was a math teacher. He became the business manager. He was the treasurer. And then when I came on, you know, I had to get a bond. It was through A.J. Gallagher, and then it was underwritten by Liberty Mutual, because I saw that question and I asked it. So, you know, you just go, it's like an insurance policy that you're taking out. So you pay a fee that's a one-time fee, unless there's some kind of a change, then you have to pay, you know, a premium then.
So then you work directly with the auditors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because that's what Hillary does for us.
Right. So when they come in, when they do that field work in May or June,
Right. The preliminary.
I'm there. Right.
Yeah.
We're there to answer all the questions, get them the information that they need.
Okay.
And then when they come in to do the final field work, then we're there also.
Right. She sits with our auditors. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. What else do we have on here? What is your district's annual budget? What's the 234?
The operational budget is like $16.5 million.
I'm sure I could find it on your website. I just thought, if you know, off the top of your head. Awesome. All right. And then does your strategic plan include a financial piece, a 5-year?
So we're trying to put the
plan?
financial plan, so the superintendent's goals, we try to line up the things with the superintendent's goals. We have our board policy for our fund balance. It's probably the thing that probably has driven us the most when Paul came. You can talk a little bit about what the fund balance was when you came on, and then some of the.
Gosh, yeah, it's hard, I mean, I'm talking off the top of my head now, because I've been on the board there for about 16 years, and we had $3 or $4 million maybe at the time, and money was tight, and we were having issues, and I mean, we ultimately, when we got on the board, we started looking at a couple of different things. One was, Cheryl used to prepare us a 5-year projection going forward, and every year we updated it. And it was a general thing, but it gave us trends, right? So it was something that you could look at and say, okay, if we don't do anything and this happens, 3 years from now, we're going to be in the hole, okay? And it makes you start looking, and you give yourself a little bit of time by doing that. And so we started watching our money because we started doing that. And, you know, you run your budget, and with these projections, you're always a little conservative. You know, if you think the tax money is going to go up by 2%, you might say 1 or 1.5, maybe a more worst case scenario, but it brings it home. It strikes it home a little bit better. You project out your expenses a little higher than maybe you think they might be, especially in areas that you don't have as much control in, special ed and things like that. And it brings you to the point where you start looking at that and saying, okay, we need to start making some cuts here, or we need to start watching our pennies, or we need to start doing this or that. What's important? You know, what do we have on our budget that maybe we don't need to do, or that we can find a better way to do it where we can save some money. And so I think from that perspective, it helps you from a planning perspective. Like I said, I think our budget was $3-4 million. Balances were $3-4 million when I first got on board, and right away we were worried about going in the hole real quick, and hung for a while, and then all of a sudden we started watching, and you think it's going to be bad. Next year you were always better than you were before. Even our budget, when we do that, we always, if our budget says we're going to spend down $1 million, we end up breaking even. We watch what we're doing, and because like I said, it's just a matter of looking at all the expenses so you don't get hit. But I think, I don't know what
3 and 5.
Yeah,
We'll do a 3 and a 5 year, so we have an
Okay.
idea where we're
Right.
going. Especially, it's really driven by where we think the revenue cycle is going to go, and what the contract negotiations in terms of what we're going to agree on that we can afford.
we've been able to watch when we've been doing contracts. We've been able to use that information and work with the union to get as good a deal as we could, where we haven't gotten really hit by things.
And try to keep staff at the same time.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to just slash it and lose all your good people. But you make them aware, you educate them as you're going through the process of what you got and what you don't have, and what's going to happen if things go bad. Ultimately we made a lot of hard choices. How long ago was that? I'm trying to remember. When we cut back from
9 and 10, I think it was.
Yeah, so it's been 9-10 years now, where we made some major changes to our budget. We cut the class structure a little bit, but we tried to do things that we didn't impact the kids with, and we got out of the hole. And our operating monies now are what? I don't know. How much we have in.
But we might have.
What is your fund balance requirement per policy?
6 months.
6 months expense.
6 months, but it's general. It's written in such a way so that we have enough that we can fulfill the requirements for that fiscal year.
Yeah, but we're comfortable. We're comfortable with it now, I didn't.
Correct.
I'd have to look.
Confirm ours is 26, right? %.
Well,
Our policy's 33.
Sorry.
but we're
We're
saying
at-
27.
yeah, we're
26.
Right.
Yeah.